The pause in fighting comes as a belated relief to hospitals in Gaza. Only 2 hospitals are reportedly still operating in northern Gaza. Inside Al-Shifa, the largest hospital there, only 2 doctors remain, trying to take care of about 200 patients. This as Israel has detained the director of the hospital. This report from NBC News.
Tonight, as fighting rages across Gaza, a temporary ceasefire just hours away, Ahmed Mukhalalati, one of 2 remaining doctors at the besieged Al-Shifa hospital, tells NBC News.
The Israeli soldiers and officers are pushing him and say, if you don't leave the hospital, your life will be threatened.
How are you going to leave Al-Shifa?
To be honest, I don't know.
Once a refuge for tens of thousands of Gazans fleeing the war, now Mukhalalati says there are only 200 patients left, too sick to leave on their own.
Patients are here with all kinds of injuries. We can't save them. We keep losing them. We lost a patient overnight, and we lost another one yesterday evening.
Today, the Gazan Health Ministry announced there'd be no more convoys of ambulances out of Al-Shifa after the Israeli military arrested the hospital's director. While he's not been charged, the IDF has accused him of collaborating with Hamas.
They tried to ruin this tunnel in order for us not to be able to enter.
After the Israeli military discovered several tunnels beneath the hospital complex, once used, they allege, as Hamas military headquarters.
Above us is a hospital, above us, patient, wounded, doctors, all being a human shield.
This as the IDF faces international pressure to justify its seizure by force of the largest hospital in Gaza.
The Israeli military found tunnels under Al-Shifa.
And medical staff who were treating the patients. What's under the ground is under the ground.
The WHO tells NBC News there are only 2 of 24 hospitals still operating in northern Gaza. Tonight, there's fear that without a full ceasefire, there soon won't be any hospitals left. Erin McLaughlin, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Back in Hong Kong, the contractors involved in yesterday's fatal accident at the Peak have been suspended from tendering for public works contracts. The contractor also has to conduct an independent safety audit to review its safety management system. Then it is required to submit an improvement action plan and have the measures implemented before the Bureau considers removing the suspension. Wai Leung from the Hong Kong Construction Industry Employee General Union said the sector has not seen the Labor Department step up inspection efforts lately. He added, even after the amendment bill was passed in April to raise the cap of penalties for serious industrial accidents from $500,000 to $10 million, the number of accidents saw no signs of reduction. British pharmaceutical company Astra Zeneca has set up a research and development center in Hong Kong. The company said it will expand its research team in the SAR with a focus on treating tumors, cell therapy, and genome editing. Timothy Lee tells us more.
A plaque unveiling ceremony for the research center was held at the Central Government Complex, officiated by Financial Secretary Paul Chan. AstraZeneca is among a number of strategic partners of the government's Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises. The pharmaceutical giant's vice president, Liang Wang, said the company began discussing with the SAR government about expanding its business in Hong Kong last December and met with Chief Executive John Lee on several occasions. He said AstraZeneca's Hong Kong-based research center team is hoping to expand to 100 people in 5 years, focusing primarily on tumor treatment, cell therapy, and genome editing. Regarding Hong Kong's capability in pharmaceutical production, Wang noted the UK-based company will consider the option if there is more available land, but said it is open to establishing smaller biological facilities in the area. Financial Secretary Paul Chan said he is encouraged by AstraZeneca's decision to build a development facility in the city. He added it is the first such center established by the world's top 10 pharmaceutical companies in Hong Kong. Chan stressed there is still a lot of space for cooperation between the research center and medical researchers in the Greater Bay Area. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The Legislative Council passed a motion of thanks for the 2023 policy address on Friday. At today's meeting, lawmakers debated topics including land supply, childbirth policies, and youth development. Lawmaker Tang Ka-piu proposed a change in housing policy. He said the current one does not help public housing residents to be upwardly mobile. Tang believes authorities should make young people aware of the importance of saving money to be put towards property. Chief Executive John Lee thanked Lechko for passing the motion and said the administration will review opinions to meet the expectations and needs of the public. Pigs at 2 Yunlong pig farms tested positive for African swine fever virus recently. But the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department say there is currently no evidence the virus is transmissible between pigs and humans. The cases were found in 2 farms at Lao Shan. Authorities tested the samples of 62 pigs from 1 farm on Thursday. At least 5 pigs had the virus. All 1,900 pigs at the farm will be culled on Saturday. Meanwhile, several pigs tested positive for the same virus at another farm earlier this month. Over 5,000 pigs on that premises were culled on Tuesday. Lawmaker Stephen Ho from the Agriculture and Fisheries constituency said the incidents will not affect the prices of pork. Taiwan is poised to elect its leader in January 2024. The main opposition parties, including the nationalist Kuomintang, failed to achieve a joint bid for the leadership role. In other words, they will likely contend against the ruling Democratic Progressive Party separately. Tech tycoon Terry Gou has also formally dropped out of the race to rule the island. A failed bid for unity to unseat the ruling Democratic Progressive Party by Taiwan's main opposition party, Kuomintang, or KMT, and the smaller Taiwan People's Party, TPP, 1 day before the deadline for candidacy registration. Both KMT and TPP want to forge closer ties with Beijing, but the possible joint ticket failed on Thursday in an angry showdown on live television. The row erupted between 3 hopefuls, KMT's Hou Yu-yi, mayor of New Taipei, and TPP's Ko Wen-je, a doctor and the former mayor of Taipei, as well as Terry Gou, billionaire founder of major Apple supplier Foxconn. Ho said he tried his best to work towards an alliance. The KMT candidate also announced his running mate, pro-unification veteran media personality Zhou Xiaokang. The 73-year-old was a star politician in his early years. After failing in his bid to be Taipei's mayor, he went on to host popular talk shows. TPP's Ko meanwhile named lawmaker Cynthia Wu as his running mate. With financial backgrounds and international experience, 45-year-old Wu is the granddaughter of the founder of the Shinko Mitsukoshi department store and served as an assistant to a British conservative politician. Billionaire Terry Gou announced his decision to quit the race despite a massive advertising campaign. Unable to secure nominations from political parties, Gou only got the go-ahead from the Election Commission last week after collecting enough signatures to run as an independent. The Democratic Progressive Party is fielding William Lai Ching-te with running mate Xiao Bi-kim. Lai boasts the highest support in the latest polls, followed by Ko and Ho. It appears with the opposition coalition in tatters, Lai has an even better chance of winning. Under Taiwan laws, candidacy can't be withdrawn after registration. Welcome back. Since drivers were required to pay by the Hong Kong e-toll system when using tunnels since May, the Transport Department said there have been about 6,000 cases of drivers evading the tunnel tolls. The Mo Zheng-ai reports.
In the city, many tunnels have already implemented the automatic toll system, HKE toll, for about 6 months. Most drivers have adapted to the new way of things and registered for an account and obtained a vehicle tag, though over 200,000 vehicles have not yet set up automatic payment. The Transport Department, however, reviewed about 6,000 cases of drivers who have not submitted their toll payments despite using the tunnels for months. The department believes the drivers are evading the charges deliberately and says such cases will be taken to court. Albert Ho, principal officer of the Transport Department, said the decision to involve justice authorities came after the drivers ignored the reminder letter sent out by the department. Nonetheless, Ho stressed evasion only involves a small number of drivers. President of the Hong Kong Automobile Association, Rango Lee, said the government should provide more assistance to drivers regarding their auto payment. E-tolls are common around the world. If you hire a car in Australia, for instance, you will find an electronic payment sensor has already already be installed. Meanwhile, the payment will be taken from your credit card, he said. Li also suggests authorities should maintain manual toll booths to avoid emergency situations. News 9, TVB News.
The government flying service and the Hong Kong Observatory have been using a dropsonde system in missions to better predict the path and strength of tropical cyclones. Dropsondes are instruments released from aircraft to collect meteorological data. They were deployed during Typhoon Saola in September. The instruments helped gather images of the eye wall of Saola. Introduced in 2016, 57 dropsonde missions have been undertaken and collected data for 38 tropical cyclones. They include notable events such as Typhoons Mangkhut and Hato in 2017. Overseas, a South Korean court has ordered Japan to compensate a group of 16 women who were forced to work in Japanese wartime brothels. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno called the ruling extremely regrettable. The Seoul Central District Court had dismissed the case in 2021. The Seoul High Court reversed the lower court's decision, recognizing the jurisdiction of South Korean courts over the Japanese government. The court also said the case falls within South Korea's jurisdiction, as the plaintiffs live in the country. The victims are seeking compensation over acts that are deemed unlawful under Korean civil law. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un heralded the country's recent launch of a spy satellite, saying it exercised its right to self-defense. Kim visited the National Aerospace Technology Administration to applaud space scientists and technicians. He said Tuesday's launch was an eye-opening event in the face of the dangerous and aggressive moves of hostile forces. South Korean officials said the latest launch most likely involved Russian assistance. State media photographs showed Kim's family members joining the leader to celebrate. Kim's daughter sat next to him at the banquet, wearing a T-shirt with NATA's logo. His wife's sister, rocket scientists and engineers were also there. In Ireland, violent clashes broke out in the center of the country's capital, Dublin, after a 5-year-old girl was seriously injured in a knife attack on Thursday. They also saw a woman and 2 other young children hospitalized. Daniel Rao tells us more.
A 5-year-old girl is receiving emergency treatment after sustaining serious injuries in the stabbing, which took place outside a school on Dublin's Parnell Square shortly after 1:30 p.m. local time on Thursday. A woman in her 30s was also being treated for serious injuries, while the 2 other children, a 5-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl, suffered less serious injuries. Members of the public intervened at an early stage of the attack. A man in his late 40s, also being treated for serious injuries, was arrested by the police, who said they're not looking for any other suspect. The police said they believe it was a standalone incident and not necessarily connected to any wider issues that are ongoing in Ireland or in the city. But a potential terrorist link was not ruled out by Irish authorities. The police would not comment on the nationality of the detained man. The scene was still sealed off shortly before 6 p.m. when a group of around 50 anti-immigrant protesters briefly broke through a police barrier. A larger crowd then began throwing objects and setting off fireworks as the situation escalated. Police said over 400 officers, including many in riot gear, were deployed to contain the unrest, which they said was caused by a small group of thugs. The crowd began to disperse at around 9 p.m. All public transport in the city was suspended during the protests. Many companies urged their staff to work from home on Friday. Such rioting is almost unprecedented in Dublin, the capital of Ireland. There are no far-right parties or politicians elected to Parliament. However, small anti-immigrant protests have grown in the last year. This with net migration in Ireland recently having risen to its 2nd highest level since records began. Dan Orell, TV News.
A senior U.S. official says the United States thwarted a plot to kill a Sikh separatist and issued a warning to India that the government in New Delhi could be involved. White House spokesperson Adrienne Watson said Indian officials expressed surprise and concern when they were informed. She said Washington is treating the issue with the utmost seriousness. It has been raised at the most senior diplomatic levels. Watson claimed Gurpatwan Singh Panun, who says he is a dual citizen, was the target of the foils plot. News of the incident comes 2 months after Canada said there were credible allegations linking Indian agents to the June murder of a Sikh separatist leader. India rejected Canadian claims. Venice will charge tourists €5 just to enter the city. Local politicians say it will help reduce crowds at the historic site. Famed for its ancient buildings, canal-linked islands, and gondolas, Venice is rolling out a pilot next year, which it calls the Tourist Contribution Program. Authorities insist it is not about making money, but an experiment to see if they can manage numbers. The scheme will run between April and July. From January, travelers can reserve their day in Venice by registering online and paying €5. Exemptions apply, including visitors to concerts and some restaurants, as well as those who have accommodation booked in the city center. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.